Question is, where is Trump's astrology in this post-election period? And in this video I'm going to talk about from now into approximately the early spring period in early April. So of course, one possibility is that you're sick and tired of hearing about this guy and maybe there's no real purpose in even talking about it. But I'll just say this, no one can get around their ongoing cycles. That I can attest to 100% in terms of the astrology, regardless of what results you might accomplish within those cycles, meaning that if there are irritating pressure energies on the scene, you will feel them. And I think he's definitely in that space. There's no question in my mind that as we go into the end of this month and into next month, there is lots of irritation and lots of overreaching, overconfidence, wanting to do things that are well outside accepted boundaries, such as when he proposed Matt Gaetz and discovered that at least for that there was, let's call it gravity. Something happened there that they had to switch the approach. Now the thing is, this goes into January for sure, and I realize that in saying all this, yes, we must leave open the possibility that perhaps he doesn't get there at all. This is possible. Do I think it's probable? No, but it's possible. It's possible, and so this we go through in stages, meaning there will be dates in December around certification that would have to happen, and then January 6th, and then eventually inauguration on the 20th. And the thing is, the energy then doesn't look happy at all, and if he's there at that time, you're pretty much guaranteed hearing another American Carnage message, dark overtones, maybe revenge talk, I don't know, but it's not a happy time. There's no way it's a happy time. Worse still is the fact that when you look at February and March, it's even worse. And so if things turn out that he's there, he's starting his agenda in late January, February, March, that's total chaos and total pushback. There's a lot of Saturn there. Saturn is hard to get around. Where Jupiter presently, the way it's circulating, is inclining him to make these big moves, that's the point where you run into a bit of a brick wall in February and then March. Of course, if he's still there in April, May, it does get easier for periods, then it returns to being hard again. It's choppy territory for 2025, with February and March being among the worst months. And all of this is keeping in mind that while all this is happening, there is very threatening health energy in the air. This has been talked about for years. I continue to say it, that the things that he was displaying during the campaign, the incoming dementia and lessening sharpness and so on, this is building. And when you've got not one but several planetary aspects happening at the same time, there's a threat that I'm talking about February and March, and I'm presuming, okay, he's in power, then the Saturn is putting pressure, there is a certain amount of chaos, certain amount of pushback. That's if it goes that way. God help him if it turns out that it's related to health, because then those aspects in February and March are really rough to the point of being extremely dangerous. And if I'm going to look further into the future, and it's usually not a great idea to do that in the sense that a lot of astrology, to my mind, requires visibility to see how things are developing, so you can get a better sense of how they might turn out. But I just took a peek at 2026 in November, and I'm struck by the fact that the rule that I ignored at my peril for this election, which is that the one thing you do not want when you are seeking a certain outcome at a certain time is you don't want the Saturn to be too close to your planets. So case in point here, had fate arranged itself differently, and he had been running such that at election time, the Saturn position where it's going to be in February and March, I say there's no way he wins. But when I look at 2026 in November, the Saturn is right in there. It's really, really close in a square to his Mercury. And he's a Gemini, so Mercury becomes really important. So this is why I mentioned in prior videos that, all due respect to people throwing their hands up and saying, the way this is going, we're not going to have any more elections. He's going to take control of everything. Elections won't mean anything. Well, if you can put that aside and realize that the vote is all we have, and we have to look at this as there is another major election coming in 2 years, at which time it doesn't look good for him. It looks considerably more dangerous in terms of getting a bad result than it did in the proximity, in the days of November when this election was held. All right, that's all I have for now, but expect this guy to continue with pretty heedless, over-expansive behavior for the next several weeks because of where the Jupiter is, but together with, or rather surrounded by, plenty of irritating energy suggesting that he probably won't get it all to work. Some will work, some won't work, and it leads him into January in a angry, irritated state.